Sponsored by Squarespace. I'm gonna paint this guy in 10 minutes. And this dude in 1 hour. And this guy in 3 hours. At this point, my backlog is not getting any smaller, even after I've sold off and given away thousands of figures. But I've got to start somewhere, and that somewhere is my goblin army. To figure out how much time I should spend on each figure, and to see how big the difference actually is between spending 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 3 hours, this video will be a fantastic set to see how big difference it actually makes. Let's start with the 10-minute one. So, I'm really excited. It's gonna go fast. I'm just gonna jump into it. Lucas, hit the button. So I started off by airbrushing with the Phoenix Orange ink from above, and then going in with the contrast paint Flesh Terror Red from below. This trick is immensely powerful to start off with. It gives me the light values and the volumes before even putting the brush on the miniature. Unfortunately, the primed undercoat was a little bit too dark and I kind of went ham with the red contrast paint. So the miniature became a lot darker than I had planned, and I lost a lot of the details that I originally thought I would have using this trick, creating somewhat of a chaotic start. I then jumped directly into using the contrast paint Wildwood on all of the leather parts, the teeth, the bones, claws, and anything else that would be somewhat a brown tone. I had a few more minutes to spare, so I started highlighting the teeth to at least draw some attention to the face. And the belly was just a big dark red blob, so I added some rose skin and just quickly slapped on a highlight in one layer. Unfortunately, that was all the time that I had. 3, 2, 1. Well, we have a red troll. I think 10 minutes. It's not enough to paint the figure, at least not to a high standard, but I feel kind of happy what I managed to do in 10 minutes. So prepare for the first out of 3 fantastic grand reveals. So it's time to start with the 1 hour one, and I definitely have a lot higher hopes for this one. So let's kind of see where that goes. Lucas, let's go. So with the second troll, I thought I'd select some colors that wasn't as sensitive to being too dark or too bright. I used the contrast paints Plaguebearer Flesh for the highlights, and then mixed in some Achillean green to that for the shadow color. And I'm definitely off to a way better start. For the belly, I went with khaki gray. It's like a gray brownish beige tone, and it works really well for sort of like pale skin tone parts. Similarly to what I did with the 10 minutes miniature, I used Wildwood. It's just the best go-to speed paint / contrast paint that you can use as a base tone for leathers and bones and stuff like that. But I had another trick. For all of the rope part, I used Sand Golem. It's an army painter speed paint, and it gives me a little bit of variety on all of the brown parts. I then add a little bit of ivory for each step I want to go brighter on the miniature. And with this one, I went all out ivory on quite a big part of the belly and the chest area. And we're gonna bring some of that down in a later step, but that's it for now. For the lips and gums and inner parts of the ears, I used the contrast paints Vulpus Pink, that I then can highlight using rose skin and pale flesh. So with that done, I started adding more of the highlights. The teeth are highlighted using the same khaki gray and then mixing in ivory. And now about 30 minutes in, I realized that the greens were a little bit too bright, but I'm still happy enough with the tones to not want to mess up the rest of the stuff I've done. And the leather parts are painted using some of my favorite tones of all time. Doombull brown and Deathclaw brown, and then mixing in some sunny skin tone for the final highlights. I only had a little bit of time to highlight the green skin on the troll, so I mainly focused on the face and the head area, because that's where I want to draw the attention. As a final step, I used the Green Stuff World Sepia Verde ink. I sprayed that from below on the chest and the belly area to add more of the light values and contrast to that brighter area. It really helps bring out the volumes. 3, 2, 1. Honestly, for just spending an hour, I'm super happy with how the miniature ended up looking. And it would have been really nice to have like 15-20 minutes to clean up a couple of things like the upper lip and around the teeth area, because it got a little bit messy on some places. But with that, I think it's time for a second grand reveal. So when comparing these two, I definitely feel like the 1 hour one gave me a lot more leeway, but at the same time, I quite didn't have time to fix stuff that I did wrong. Definitely tabletop ready. 3 hours on the other hand, I feel like with this in 1 hour and like tripling that time, I should be able to do something amazing. But first, a quick message from this week's sponsor.
And Squarespace is that all-in-one platform for all those of you who want to make your own platform on the internet. Whether you want to make a portfolio for your awesome looking art, or maybe you want to sell a product online, all of that can be made super simply with their web design tools. On top of that, you don't have to have any previous knowledge about programming or web design, because you can pick between all of their awesome looking, award-winning templates, and they do truly look amazing. I've been using Squarespace myself for about 3-4 years now, and I truly love it because it's so easy to update, and they make sure that the website is safe to use for the visitors as well. So you don't have to worry about updating your website or having to pay for someone else to help you update your website after a few years when it's due for an update. And if you want to try out Squarespace, you can follow the link down below, squarespace.com/Squidmar. And if you use the code Squidmar when you're ready to launch the website, you get 10% off your entire purchase of a website or domain. This time I wanted to have a little bit darker base, so I used a little bit more of the Achillean green when mixing the base skin tone. For most of the other parts I used the same technique as with our 1 hour miniature, but I definitely had a lot more time to refine the work.
So I'm 1 hour down, and quite surprisingly, I have not come as far as I did when I painted the 1 hour one. I guess it's because I'm spending more time with the details, doing stuff more carefully and not stressing as much, which is really nice. Like, I would not want to paint an entire army stressing that much. I'm just gonna keep chugging. I have 2 more hours and I've got everything sort of like base painted, so that's really nice.
With more time, I could be a lot more deliberate when adding highlights. So I added the beige to some more areas like his legs and his jawline. I could also spend more time highlighting all of the leather and rope parts so that they actually look good upon closer inspection. I even spent more time highlighting the troll's skin, mixing greens with turquoises and ivory to really highlight the muscles and the volumes. It's not perfect, but I definitely managed to make a skin that I'm more than happy with for my army pieces. And to me, the biggest difference where I could spend a lot more time is around the face and the mouth area. The highlights are more carefully placed, the lips feel a lot less messy, the nose looked like perfectly reddish, and the teeth are just way cleaner. I even had enough time to make the tiny goblin that he's holding in his hand properly highlighted, and even painting the robe that he's got really nicely in a sort of blackish, greenish tone. And one of the things that I didn't at all have time to do on the 1 hour miniature is to add some magenta tones in some of the areas to bring more blood flow and tonal variation to the miniature. So I sprayed on the inner part of his hands, the elbows and the kneecaps, and a little bit on the belly and chest area to get some of the like rosier red skin parts in there. And I'm super happy that I had enough time to do that. So guys, I'm super happy with the last one, and in just a few seconds it's time for the grand reveal. But first, my verdict. I feel like the perfect time would have been to have somewhere between 1 and 3 hours. Especially if I would have had it like an assembly line kind of paint job where I would have maybe 5-10 miniatures and I would do them all at the same time. Maybe 1.5 to 2 hours would be enough on each miniature. Some of the stuff wasn't worth the extra time for the 3 hour one. For a competition piece, I would probably spend somewhere like 8 to 15 hours on it, but for this type of painting, you don't want to overdo stuff. You just want to make it look effectful from like a meter's distance. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section after you've seen the grand reveal.
I just want to send out a massive thanks to all of the patrons who keep supporting this channel every month. You guys are beasts. If you want to help out, check out the links down in the video description. If you don't want to help out, you can just smash like on the video and maybe subscribe. That will make me love you just a little bit more, so please go ahead and do that. Have a great day. Bye bye.